Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Friday, June the 13th, 2025. Yes, Friday the 13th. And it's also very brisk this morning as well. Very icy, but still a beautiful morning. Plenty going on in the boxing world. Of course, we're talking about Everyday Fight Week with George Kambosos, Richardson Hitchens. They had the press conference yesterday. I saw the big boy Terramona in there with his face off. Geez, he's a big guy, isn't he? Massive guy. And of course, George and Richardson just continue to throw the barbs at each other. Should be a great fight on Sunday, hopefully. Come on, man. All right, on this day, let's start back in, actually, it was way back, where was it? 1935. The Cinderella Man. James J. Braddock upset Max Bayer. I was going to call him Maxi Bayer. Max Bayer by unanimous decision to win the World Heavyweight Championship at Madison Square Garden. Bayer was a 10-1 favourite against Braddock, and I think we've all seen the movie, The Cinderella Man. Really, really good movie, actually. And this fight was depicted prominently in that movie. So yeah, James J. Braddock, and I think he ended up losing it to Joe Louis, I think, wasn't it? He lost the title to. Forgive me if I'm wrong, it's a bit early in the morning, but I think that was the case anyway. Also on this day, back in 1981, marvellous Marvin Hagler defended his middleweight title with a knockout of Vito Antuofermo in the 5th round in Boston, Massachusetts. Now, you remember Antuofermo got a very disputed draw over Marvin Hagler in the first fight, his first attempt at the title. He did say he was very fearful that he would never get another opportunity, because I think he had over 50 fights or something before he actually got his first crack at Antuofermo, and he didn't want to fight him. He was forced into it, and that draw. And then Hagler, of course, went to England, stopped Alan Minter, and then got his revenge over Antuofermo and started his incredible reign at middleweight. In 1986, Puerto Ricans Hector Macho Camacho and Edwin Chapo Rosario went at it at Madison Square Garden in New York as well for the WBC lightweight title. Hector Camacho very, very fortunate to get a decision win over Edwin Rosario, and he was never really the same after that. He looked absolutely brilliant when he beat Jose Luis Ramirez and Cornelius Balzer Edwards, and was one of the biggest stars in the sport. And then he came up against Rosario, who'd actually lost the title to Jose Luis Ramirez a year or two earlier. And he got rocked and almost dropped by Rosario. And after that, he became just always this very negative type of fighter. Before it was trendy to be negative, it was Hector Camacho back in the day. And yeah, as I said, Hector never really was that same flashy, cocky type of fighter after that. But that was in 1986. Also in 1986, must have been on the same card, I'm thinking, because it was also in New York. Julio Cesar Chavez defended his WBC 130-pound title, or super featherweight title, with a knockout of Refugio Roja in the 7th round. A couple of other ones, 1998, Juan Carlos Gomez knocked out Guy Waters, our very own Guy Waters, in the 6th round in Hamburg, Germany, to defend the WBC cruiserweight title. Guy Waters actually also got a shot at Dennis Andrees, didn't he, for the light heavyweight title? And Andrees beat him in that one as well. In 1998 as well, Oscar De La Hoya defended his WBC welterweight title by knocking out Patrick Charpentier, is it, in the 3rd round in El Paso, Texas. And in Birmingham, England, Deontay Wilder knocked out Eric Molina in 9 rounds in 2015 to defend the WBC heavyweight title. So just speaking of Oscar De La Hoya there, I probably wanted to start today with Oscar because it's not necessarily a clapback, but I'm not sure whether you've seen his social media post this morning. And he had a little bit to say, probably a little bit more measured video than what he normally does. It wasn't, as I said, it wasn't an official clapback. It didn't have all the production and sound effects and all that sort of stuff. It was just sort of him sitting at his table at his home, and he had a bit to say. Mostly started off with Eddie Renaso. He said, he, in his opinion, the boxing media have been paid off, which is quite a statement, I suppose. I'm not sure whether. Well, maybe they've been paid off as far as perks goes. I'm not sure there would have been money exchanging hands. Yeah, that's the case. A lot of the reporters love the flights and accommodation and accreditation that comes with doing and saying the right thing. But I don't know. It's all hearsay, I suppose. But Oscar said they'd been paid off, and he highlighted the Eddie Renaso situation at the moment, where in Oscar's opinion, he's had 6 fights from his camp all test positive for PEDs recently. The 2, I think Ryan Garcia was one, I can't remember who, it might have been, it was someone else anyway, that actually tested positive after they left Eddie Renaso. But at the moment he's got Jaime Garcia, sorry, not Jaime Garcia, Jaime Munguia, that has tested positive and is in the midst of getting his B sample tested. And that was probably his first accusation, that Eddie is up to no good and the boxing media have swept it under the carpet. Yeah, I mean, that's Oscar's opinion, I suppose. What else was he saying? Oh, well, of course, Dana White was in the crosshairs as well, wasn't he? He said that Dana White's been pretty much handed the Canelo-Crawford fight on a silver platter. What was he, the trust fund baby, I think he called him. Not sure that's going to go down too well with Turki Al Sheikh, but he did call him the trust fund baby. Said he's got, again, no experience, and he's got the nerve to call himself a promoter when he's just been handed this fight and everything's pretty much done for him. Did actually question his loyalty to the UFC as well, because he made a good point. And I didn't know this, by the way, but Canelo and Crawford will be fought during the day in Las Vegas. Now, in September during the day, it's going to be hot, although in Allegiant Stadium, I'm sure they've got the cooling on in there, so it'll be a controlled temperature. But he said it was on during the day to accommodate UFC Noche, which is on that night. And again, he made another good point. He said, well, the UFC event so far has got no big names on the card, but it's going to have prime time over Canelo and Crawford at Allegiant Stadium during the day. And he did say, first of all, it's Cinco de Mayo weekend, the biggest weekend on the Mexican calendar, and Canelo Alvarez was in Saudi Arabia fighting in front of a very sparse crowd with no atmosphere at 7 o'clock in the morning instead of in front of his fans in Vegas. And then he said now he's going to fight during the day with no consideration for the fans. I don't think it'll be a big thing for this fight in particular. I don't think the fans will really care whether it's during the day or at night. Maybe it'll be better. Maybe the fact that it is during the day, that we'll be out of there by 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then we can all go and enjoy the night in Vegas. But I get where he's coming from. It just shows the importance. And look, he also aimed a big one at Canelo when he said he doesn't give a shit about the fans anymore. It's just about the dollar. Maybe he's right, but can you begrudge him? Can you begrudge Canelo at this stage of his career? He's put on some memorable events for the Mexican people, not just Mexican people, but fight fans in general. I think at this stage of his career, taking the $400 million, if that is the case, I don't think it's a big thing that he's going to just toe the line for Turki Al Sheikh and Dana White and everyone else. I haven't really got a problem with it. And then if he fights Chris Eubank Jr. after this one in May in England, that'll sort of tick off another thing on his bucket list. And then most likely it'll be the fight with Bivol or Better Beef at the end of the year, I would think, at the end of 2026. And who knows, that might even be it for Canelo. But Oscar with plenty to say. And look, normally with Oscar, I have sort of said that he's been a little bit hypocritical in my book, because he was the first one that said, there's no way I'm going to let this guy take over my territory. LA and the America is mine, and I'm not going to let this guy just walk in and take over. And then literally about a month later, he's kneeling down, kissing the ring as well. So I know that, but look, I've got a lot of respect for Oscar sort of going against the grain and it's just calling it out for what it is, because he's 100% right, especially with the Dana White thing. And I can understand he's pissed that he didn't get the gig for the Canelo Crawford fight. Although when you think about it, there's no way that Oscar and Golden Boy could promote Canelo and Crawford with the history and the feud with Canelo Alvarez. It just couldn't happen. I don't think Canelo would want a bar of Oscar De La Hoya, of him hosting press conferences and all that sort of stuff and getting in on the photos at the weigh-ins and all that sort of thing. I don't think he'd want it. So I can understand that, but I do get what Oscar's saying, and as I said, I do respect him for saying it. What a lot of people are thinking, that at the moment, I think the control factor of Turki Al-Sheikh just is getting a little bit over the top, and you sort of also get the impression that Oscar and Turki, a little bit like, not a spiteful, but a little bit like Donald Trump and Elon Musk at the moment. They were bros there for a while, but it's got a little bit frosty and they've just gone their separate ways. As I said, Oscar hasn't got as spiteful as what Elon Musk did, but it's a similar type of thing. Oscar and Turki were getting very, very chummy, and now it just seems just to have cooled a little bit. Oscar probably realises that maybe Turki wasn't all that he was sort of promised to be. Apart from the money, hasn't really got an idea of what's going on in boxing. I think he's proven that. And maybe Oscar's just sort of thinking at the moment, yeah, I reckon I don't need Turki. I can do my own thing and be quite successful. Did actually say that he's actually quite enjoyed talking with Eddie Hearn and Al Heyman from PBC about doing some stuff together. So maybe Eddie Hearn's in the same boat as well. And I think we talked about that a while ago, is that when the Dana White partnership with Turki Al-Sheikh was announced, neither one of them was that pissed or upset about the whole thing. So I think they sort of knew obviously what was coming, but also that they were okay with it and probably thought that they'd probably maybe taken it as much or as far as they could at this stage, and were happy just to go back to doing their own things and hopefully even working together. Because I'm telling you, 10 times out of 10, I would much prefer to see maybe Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya working together than anything that Turki Al-Sheikh's putting together. Yeah, he might have some of the, those big fights, but I just think at the moment the sport, as healthy as they say that it is just lacking a bit of heart and soul at the moment. It's hard to explain. I'm not sure. Tell me if you feel the same way, but I just think at the moment, yeah, we're getting some of those big fights and some good events put on, but I don't get anywhere near as excited as I used to with the big fights in America, and it's just something missing. And whether we've sold our soul or boxing sold its soul to Turki Al-Sheikh to, doing the deal with the devil a little bit, where, okay, a lot of money's been put into it and we are getting some of those big fights, but we've sacrificed what made the sport great by doing it. Anyway, just my opinion, but I really enjoyed what Oscar said. He was quite measured. It wasn't his usual clap back self, I suppose. He did do a little bit of a clap at the end of the video, but overall I thought he was well balanced, well measured, well thought out. I don't think there was a script like he does have in the clap back. I think it was just him sitting down, reflecting, probably doing what I'm doing now, just talking to the camera and bearing his thoughts to everybody out there. But I thought he spoke really well and made some really, really good points. I can't remember if anything else was said, but I actually did say that there's no way in hell that Terence Crawford's got a hope to beat Canelo Alvarez. So he struggled with Madrimov. How's he going to go against Canelo? So we will see. That's probably one of the good things about it. We will see. I did see, actually speaking of Canelo and Crawford, I'm not sure whether you've seen it, but if you haven't, check it out. I'm sure it's on the net somewhere. The poster for Canelo and Crawford. Now, they've labelled it The One. They've got both or half of each guy's face on the poster, and they've labelled it The One. Now, this really got my attention because back in 2013, when Canelo fought Floyd Mayweather, it was also called The One, and it was also the same sort of poster, not exactly like it. The current one sort of split down the middle. It's got half their face, where Mayweather and Canelo sort of had both their faces side by side that had the one going straight down the middle. Well, this is exactly the same poster. Little colours are a little bit different. This one's more yellow. The Mayweather-Canelo one was more red. But isn't that funny? I wonder if it's done on purpose or, it's only 12 years ago. I must admit, if I'm being honest, I stole that name as well. The first time I had the Maloney boys on in Melbourne, at Melbourne Park, I called it the Ones with an S, not the one that was the Ones. So yes, I am guilty of stealing that as well. But this is really bizarre. As I said, if you haven't seen it, check it out on Google or whatever it is you do, and Google the poster for Canelo and Crawford. It's very, very similar to the Canelo Mayweather poster, but especially just the name itself, the One. So look, maybe it's a bit of homage back to that fight, I don't know, but very, very strange that they would use that. What else have we got happening there? I saw that Manny Pacquiao, he was interviewed at the Hall of Fame over the weekend. He was asked about any regrets that he had in boxing, and he said he only had one, and that was that he didn't delay or postpone whatever his fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr. because he had a sore shoulder. He did mention after fight, if you can remember that, in the post-fight press conference, he did say that he had a sore shoulder, but apparently 2 or 3 weeks before the fight he did injure it, and that's his biggest regret in boxing. Look, with all due respect to Manny, we love Manny. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time, probably top 10, and probably we won't see a fighter like him that went through so many weight divisions and did what he did. But I don't know, it's just my opinion. I don't think Manny with 2 healthy shoulders and probably a baseball bat in one hand could have caught Mayweather that night. I think he was absolutely schooled by Floyd, and it's just styles. Floyd Mayweather did that to nearly every good fighter that he fought, didn't he? Bar 1 or 2, he made them look very silly, including Canelo, and the likes of Cotto and come here, buddy. Let's cross the road there. But a lot of great fighters. Canelo as well, made him look all second rate, didn't he? But yeah, as I said, I don't sort of subscribe to what Manny's sort of saying there, because I think on the night he was totally outclassed, and again nothing wrong with that, because Floyd Mayweather was the master, and at that point, even though he was 30, he would have been 38, would he have been at that stage? That he was still able to look like he was about 28 and put on an absolute masterclass. Manny Pacquiao, to his credit as well, 10 years later, is about to fight for the world title again. What was he, 36 at the time? So, yeah, great to see Manny actually inducted in the Hall of Fame. I saw a few highlights in the last couple of days, and this seems a little bit odd, though, that he's gone into the Hall of Fame last weekend, and in a month's time he's going to climb through and fight for a world title. It is a little bit bizarre, but that's one of the I suppose, the loopholes of the Hall of Fame that I think they should close, by the way. I think the second he came back, they probably should have said, Manny, let's do it in 5 years' time, or maybe longer, because I think it might be 3 years, actually. Just do it in 3 years' time. But anyway, all said and done, it's probably a little bit too far down the track. They'd already announced he was going to be in it, so I get it. But yeah, interesting comments by the Pac-Man, Vinny Pazienza. I think that's probably about it today, guys. What else did I have there? Anthony Joshua. Looks like he will fight in September or October. They're still holding out hope that it'll be Tyson Fury, but it looks like, who are they talking about? Well, I think they were talking about Dillian White, weren't they? But that doesn't look like it's going to happen now. Morning. Good, mate. Come here, man. And it looks like 2026 will be his last year. So I think they will do everything they possibly can to coax Tyson Fury out of retirement. They've got to at least fight once. Would know it'll be the biggest rivalry, I think, in history where they didn't actually fight. Crazy. And one of the biggest fights in English history, probably the biggest fight in English history. I mean, it has to happen, doesn't it? But according to Eddie Hearn, 2026 will be his last year. So we will see what happens there. And I think, actually, I did read yesterday as well, or the day before, that the Sonny Bill Williams, Paul Gallen fight, Tyson Pedro, the MMA guy, has actually pulled out of his fight with Chris Terziewski for unknown reasons. That'll be the third time the fight has fallen through. So I think you get the impression that this fight's not going to happen. But anyway, I'm not quite sure whether it was to do with money or whatever. But that was one of the big attractions on that card, and that is now off. So when is that? Is that in another month's time or something? I'm not sure. I haven't really followed it. Might be end of the month, maybe. I don't know. But either way, that has occurred as well. Not that I think they need a big fight on that card. I think all the rugby tragics will be watching that fight anyway, won't they? Whether Tyson Pedro's on the card or not. So guys, look, I think that's going to do it for today. Hope you have a great Friday. Beautiful here. Let's hope it stays that way, and we'll catch you tomorrow.